Greetings. This is Mushtaq Memon, Professor Emeritus from Washington State University. This video is dedicated to equine breeding management with the title Effective Equine Breeding Strategies, Techniques, Pitfalls, and Management Approaches. When it comes to the breeding techniques, I would like to just point out that thoroughbred breed, they allow only natural breeding, means no artificial insemination. If you produce a foal with artificial insemination, that foal will not be registered to participate in the race. Now, artificial insemination has many advantages, but at the same time, as I mentioned earlier, you have to check with the breed registry and see if that particular breed allows artificial insemination or not. But if it does, it has got many advantages. It reduces the venereal disease transmission, and it has some other things that we have to consider, like Stallion, and then also preparation of the artificial vagina. Now, when it comes to the semen collection, the best way I have found is to try to have a young stallion trained to be mounted on the dummy. These slides you see here, they are taken at my tenure at the Tufts University. You can see that a stallion is mounting on the dummy, and I'm trying to collect semen with the artificial vagina. And this artificial vagina happened to be what we call Missouri model, which is much lighter in weight than other one popular model is the Colorado artificial vagina. Now, once we talk about artificial insemination, we have also ways that we can transport semen from one town to the other place. So if you are able to do the insemination within about 12 to 24 hours, the semen is pretty good. So really, to have transportation of the semen, first we have to collect semen, cool it down, and add some extender. The extender provides the nutrients to the sperm to survive. And one of the important aspects of that nutrition, so to speak, is the availability of protein. So that protein could be from egg yolk or from milk. So the extender could be egg yolk based or milk based to mix semen with, and then you put in the tank. There's all kind of instructions given there. Then you transport to the other place. So once you receive that semen, you examine that under microscope, a drop of it, to make sure the sperm are okay and there's enough motility that you want to inseminate. Then you go ahead and inseminate the mare by this following the step-by-step approach. First of all, we are going to inseminate mares through vagina. So for that, we have to clean that mare very well, have to have a sterile vagina as well as sterile your pipette. So anything touches the vagina, we want to make sure that it's clean and sterile. So as you can see here, I am taking that my hand inside the vagina, feeling the cervix with my index finger. Then I try to pass that pipette through the cervix all the way in the body of the uterus and put the semen in. Much more easier to do AI in the mare, let us say, than compared to cow. Now, you can use frozen-thawed semen, just like any other species we use here. We have clear advantages, just like in other species. Number one is that semen is available all the time because it's frozen, sitting in the liquid nitrogen tank. So whenever it's needed, you could take it out, thaw it, and then inseminate the mare. So the better timing could be organized in that way. The problem is that the frozen thawed sperm doesn't live that long as our cool semen and our fresh semen. So we have a lower pregnancy rate. It has improved quite a bit with the new technique and technologies, but it still is not as good as insemination with the fresh semen or with the cool semen. The cost is higher because you have to consider not only collection of semen, extending the semen, storage, and all the different things. So semen handling becomes also a challenge. So one needs to have a real good grasp on semen freezing and semen handling and things like that. So there are some major problems in the breeding management. Number one, we already talked about, let us say, a situation in thoroughbreds, that this is imposed breeding season, that we end up breeding these animals in transitional season. They are not really in good breeding season, so we have lower conception rate. But if you try to get involved with these breeding mares, make sure that any registry, there's the quarter horse, thoroughbreds, extended breds, what their rules are saying, so just follow those accordingly. Now, then people ask, how many mares I can breed to a stallion? Well, there are different numbers, but I think simple to remember is that in natural setting, if you've got mares in the pasture, maybe think about 10 to 20 mares per stallion. And the stallion obviously has to be pre-checked, making sure there's good sperm production, things like that. So I think veterinarians' involvement would be very big help. The theriogenologist can check the mare's, reproductive tract, keep track of the follicle growth, and inseminate at the proper time when, follicle is big enough. So ovulation prediction is important, as I have talked before, that you can have that size of the follicle with ultrasonography is the best way. As you can see here, I'm trying to work with our senior student at Washington State University to try to demonstrate, how big the follicle can get, and also the shape of the follicle, which becomes conical close to the ovulation time. So for stallion, which as I mentioned earlier, we will have a separate video on breeding soundness examination, but I just wanted to mention this interesting aspect of the semen collection, that for artificial insemination, we need about 300 or so, 300 million sperm per AI. So it's interesting that if you collect a stallion on the same day with few hours interval between, so the second ejaculate you will collect will have about half of the number of sperm than the first one. So I just wanted to make sure that you are aware of that, and then you breed mares close to the ovulation time to save semen. Then comes to the breeding older mares. Now, why in the world one would breed very old mares? Well, the situation is that this mare has to prove herself, so to speak, that the foals which were born from her, how successful they have been, whether they are in racing or in some other, hobby of the people. And if this mare has produced, winning foals, by the time those male foals are old enough to compete, she becomes older. So these mares are very valuable, but at the same time, the pregnancy rate is not that high. Then you have maiden mares, which have never been bred. You would think that, they would get bred very easily, but, they may have their own problems. They could have a silent heat. Keep in mind, they may have also persistent hymen because they have not been bred. So there has been no insertion by the stallion, and so there could be a persistent hymen, so we have to check it out. But if you breed them, if everything is okay, then I think we have got more than 90% conception rate in these mares. Now, another category, which is also very interesting, what you call foaling mares. Now, these are the mares, the mare who has just foaled. You see in this picture, her foal is on her side. So she has already shown and proven that she is capable to conceive and then carry foal to the full term. Now, here, the situation is that these animals, foaling mares, are very sensitive because foal is on their side, and they may not show the heat very well. And here's another thing which I wanted to mention to you, which you may be surprised to hear if you have not worked with horses, that after mare foals, she gives birth to the baby, she can come back. She turns around, come back in about 9 to 10 days, again in estrus, which is very, very unique. You would not find in very many other animals. At that time, you may even ask question, has the uterus involuted? Not completely. So without going into too many details, the point is that this animal can come in heat in 9 to 10 days. You can breed this mare on that full heat if everything else is normal. So, when I say everything normal, like if there was a dystocia or this retention of fetal membranes, those mares may have, difficulty to get pregnant. I would not even try if they have any problems in their foaling time. Now, there are two hormones I like to mention, which we use frequently in our equine breeding. One is the prostaglandin F2 alpha, or their analogs. How prostaglandins work is that causes luteolysis. So if there is a corpus luteum on the ovary, which you can find through ultrasonography, then if you give this prostaglandin, let us say if you give Lutelyse, which is a natural prostaglandin, you could see on the, on your left-hand side, the picture of Lutelyse, the 10 milligrams IM could bring that animal back in estrus in about 5 to 7 days, and then estrus will be in about 3 days after that injection, and then ovulation in about 9 days. But it is going to work only if there's a corpus luteum. So because that is important to remember. Now, when you talk about the prostaglandins, please make sure that this has got some side effects of prostaglandin in horses. They could become colicky. They could have a, situation like sweating. Like this mare, you could see this dark area is that she had been sweating. So you have to be really careful when you inject that. Now, it's very unique. When I really enjoy this comparative reproduction because all the species that we deal with, they are similar in some ways, but very different in many ways. Same prostaglandins, which I give in cows, is about 25 milligrams. And it doesn't phase cow. She's just standing there and doing whatever she has to do. But in the mare, we are bringing that volume very low, only 10 milligrams, means 2 cc's of Lutelyse, and you could make that animal colicky and sweating. So you have to be really careful about that. The other hormone which I like to mention, which I've used a lot, is the human chorionic gonadotropin, or HGD. Now, where do we use this? Well, it's primarily to induce ovulation. If you have a follicle, let us say, 40 millimeter diameter follicle is very soft and good. So really, if you want to make sure that she should ovulate, go ahead and give her HCG. And it's also used in many other protocols too. Just a simple way I just want to mention here that if you give that, 2,000 international units IV, that mare will come and ovulation will happen in 36 to 48 hours. But you see, a condition here I mentioned that the follicle should be more than 33 millimeters. So with that, I'm going to stop with this video. And like always, if you have any questions and comments, please send it to me on my YouTube comment area, and I'll be more than happy to respond to that. Until then, I wish you well. Bye-bye.